Am I the a-hole for threatening to quit my job if my dad continues what he's doing? For some background, I, 16 female, have lived with my dad, 64 male, for about a year now. My parents are divorced, and I am not close with my mother. I'm going into my senior year. I'm graduating a year early and start school again in a week or so. Last year in November, I began working at a restaurant as a hostess to save up for a car. I take the bus to and from school, as well as to work, and a car would save me a lot of time. I make minimum wage, and I pull in a little over $1,000 a month after taxes. I put about 60 to 70% of that into savings and spend the rest on various things, like going out with friends or Funko Pops. In February of this year, my dad told me that since I was making so much money, I needed to start contributing to the household. At first, this was fine. He asked that I pay for my phone bill and utilities. We rent from a family member, so utilities are discounted, and my phone bill isn't too expensive either. Both things are about $200 total. With this, I was saving less but still had spending money, and I still set aside $400 to $500 every month for the car. In July, he decided I needed to pay a portion of the rent. I tried to argue with him about that, but he threatened to close my account, which he can do because he opened it for me. I had to start giving him $500 on top of the $200 a month, totaling $700 a month. With the $300 I had left, I saved $200 for the car and kept $100. I was pretty fed up at this point, but it gets worse. I have some cash in a jar in my room in case I do something that you can't use a card for. I had about $300 in the jar from several months. Last week, I came home from work, and the jar was empty. When I asked my dad, he said that since I'm his daughter, he's entitled to the money I make. I was furious. I told him he had to give it back, but he had already spent it on some BS Amazon purchases. Lucky me. He told me he wanted an extra $100 a month because I shouldn't have that much money just for me. So after all this, I'm only pulling in $200 a month, and that's if I don't save any. Last night, I told my dad I was going to give my 2 weeks notice. I work hard, and I'm exhausted. It isn't worth the few $100s I get. He was absolutely furious and said that I owe it to him to contribute to the household. I go to work in a few hours, and I'm planning on letting them know I won't be continuing. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Speak to your school social worker or your family you rent the house from. They may be able to help you get away from this situation. Not sure why your dad can't take on a second job if things are tight. I worked multiple jobs to keep a roof over my children's heads. He chose to have you. You didn't choose to be born. Things aren't tight. That's what I don't get. He makes 6 figures at a job he's been at for 20 plus years. I don't even know what he could possibly be doing with my money other than to support his alcoholism. Not the a-hole. Can you move in with anyone else? Is your mother an option at all? I'm so sorry. This is absolutely not okay. Your dad is stealing from you and financially abusing you. I wonder if a police report would help at all. I would probably rule my mom out as an option, but I was kicked out once at 13 and moved in with an older friend, and she would definitely let me move back in since I'm planning on it after high school. Would she be better than your dad? As in, she wouldn't steal your money? Maybe it's time to let mom know what's going on here. I'm not yet at the point where I would consider that. Considering the last time I saw her over a year ago, she chased me with a watermelon knife. She has severe bipolar and is unmedicated to my knowledge. My dad is being a prick right now, but he has never hurt me or threatened me. He's the safer option until I move out. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to translate for my parents after my brother moved back in and took over my role in the house? I, 19 female, am the only one in my family who is fully fluent in English. My parents immigrated when I was a baby, and my older brother, 22 male, moved back to our home country when he was 10 to be raised by our grandparents. He recently moved back in with us after 12 years abroad. For most of my life, I've been the one handling everything for my parents, filling out forms, translating at appointments, reading legal documents, talking to banks, scheduling anything. I've done this since I was about 11. It was exhausting, but I didn't question it because I knew they needed help. Since my brother came back, things changed. He speaks decent English now. Not perfect, but enough to help. Except he doesn't. He just acts like he's too good for it. And somehow, my parents act like he's the golden child. They dote on him, praise him constantly, and now they only speak to me when they need something. A week ago, they asked me to take time off work to translate at an immigration appointment for my mom. I said I couldn't because I had a shift I couldn't miss, and I suggested they ask my brother instead. My mom said, "He's not used to this stuff. It's easier with you." I snapped a little and said, "Yeah, because I've been forced to do it for years." I told them I was tired of being treated like a tool just because I happened to speak English better, especially now that they have another adult child living here. My dad told me I was being ungrateful and that family helps without complaining. Since then, they've been cold. My brother said I was being dramatic and that it's not his fault they trust me more. But it's not about trust, it's that they've never even asked him. I've missed school, work, and social events to translate for them. He's been here 3 months and hasn't lifted a finger. Now I feel guilty. I don't want to abandon them, but I also don't want to keep carrying this alone just because I was born here and he wasn't. Am I the a-hole for refusing to be their translator anymore? Family helps without complaining. Oh, sweet. Your brother can do it then. Not the a-hole, obviously. That's exactly what I said. If family helps without complaining, then my brother can start doing it too. But my dad always says, it's not the same with your brother. He's not used to this stuff. Like that justifies why he does nothing. So yeah, it's all on me. Then he should get used to this stuff. Best way to learn is to do. Get in there, bruv, and start learning. Definitely not the a-hole. Tell them in no uncertain terms that you are very happy to help if you are available. You will not be taking off work or missing important events. But if you're free, you look forward to assisting. If they have a problem with this, they can go ahead and be cold. You just need to be prepared for their reaction. Yeah, that's exactly how I'm trying to handle it now. I want to help when I can, but I also have my own life and responsibilities. I've missed a lot already, and honestly, it's frustrating that they expect me to drop everything every single time. If they get upset, that's on them. I can't keep burning out trying to be their full-time translator and assistant. I just wish my brother would step up too. How can your parents not have learned any English in the 20-ish years living in that country? They probably have a fair understanding but are not comfortable speaking and don't want to let on how much they know. They never worked to get better because they never wanted to learn, and it's easier to rely on OP. They also never bothered to take any number of free classes available to immigrants or people with limited English in many communities. I've seen it before. Keep in mind this is coming from someone who has taught immigrants how to read, write, and speak English. Is it easy for them to learn? No. But if someone really wants to learn, they will. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my dad that he wouldn't be walking me down the aisle? So, 25-ish years ago, 2 dumb 20-year-olds got drunk and made me. They had, and still have, nothing in common, don't particularly like one another, but for some reason decided to keep me. I always lived with my mom full-time. I love her, don't get me wrong, but she's pretty messy. I have 6 other half-siblings. 2 of them have the same dad. We always had a clean place to live and never went hungry or anything, but I know there were times that she did so we wouldn't. Mom very clearly loves all of us individually and as her family. She's just pretty irresponsible. My dad, I'd say, has his life more together, but we're not close. He married Hildy, also mid-40s now, when I was about 6, and they had my half-brothers Jesse, 16, and Kyle, 14, a few years later. They both have really good jobs and a nice house and cars. I know my dad paid child support, but their lives were simply very different from mine. I'd come over every other weekend, but after a while, they were too busy with the other 2, so I'd just wait for Dad to text me when he was available. He did, don't get me wrong, but he works a lot, so I probably saw him once a month before I went to college. After that, we'd talk every now and then, but mainly just see one another on holidays. One of these holidays, Hildy got kind of drunk and told me that after my mom had me, my dad basically blocked her and just paid child support until his parents, my grandma and grandpa, basically shamed him for being a deadbeat and he got some visitation. That hurt a lot to hear, but it made a lot of my childhood make sense. It all came up because she was resentful that he had to pay my mom child support until I was 21 and was saying she wished I'd skipped college. It's also sad because I know she was busy with her kids, but I always thought she at least liked me. Like, I know she hates my mom because it was maybe petty, but when they had Jessie, they replaced my room at their house with a nursery and put my stuff in another one. So my mom filed and was awarded much more child support than she had been getting, and that affected them. It's fine. There was free therapy at college, and I'm actually doing great career and mental health-wise now. In fact, my fiancé and I make about as much as they do. Granted, less property, etc. So I'm in a good place. Literally freshman week, I met my now fiancé John, 25, but we didn't start dating for 2 years and have been inseparable ever since. His family is amazing, super loving, involved but not pushy, and kind. They do have a lot of money, and I don't care if you don't believe me, but even if they were broke, I'd be so lucky to be marrying into their family. Just as an example of how amazing they are, his mom gave him her grandmother's ring to propose and has offered me any and all of her or her sister's jewelry to borrow for the wedding. His dad helped my brother get a job in his industry. He deserved it, but it's a hard one to crack into. And even his sister is going to be my maid of honor. Okay, maybe these are stupid examples, but they've told me before I don't need to apologize for my crazy and kind of trashy mom, and have even thanked her for raising the love of their son's life. They're just so happy and positive and full of love. I'm so lucky. I've been so good about setting up boundaries. Like with my mom, I laid it out that I'm not her best friend. She's not Lorelai Gilmore and I'm not Rory. I'm her daughter, and always have been. We've had some come-to-Jesus moments, but we're in a much better place. And I am sad, but also very happy to say that she's been a much more responsible mother to my 4 youngest siblings than she was to my brother, different dad, Jake 23 and me. And my dad and I have never been close, but I've tried. When John and I were talking about getting engaged, he asked me if I wanted him to ask my dad's permission. At first I said no, what's the point? Then I was like, okay, I'm his only daughter. He's kind of traditional, and he was more or less there for me growing up. So he did, and Dad was tickled pink, just as I expected. They never said they had any money for the wedding or offered any, which wasn't shocking or anything, and I didn't ask. So after all that background, we're getting married soon. It will be in John's hometown, which is a pretty nice place that people go to for vacations. And they know basically the whole town, so it will be a huge event. His family, and to be honest, we want a big wedding, but since we're just starting our careers, his parents are paying for the whole thing. I am paying for my dress though, and my mom and younger siblings travel. I kind of just assumed my dad would walk me down the aisle, but a few weeks ago at one of my showers, Hildy was talking with John's mom, who was saying how proud they must have been that I paid my own way through college. Hildy was like, oh yeah, it looked really hard. We're glad that we started saving towards our son's college funds a long time ago. They have more than enough for undergrad and probably grad school. I overheard this and confirmed with John's mom what she said. It hurt so bad. College was a struggle. There were times all I had were multivitamins and PB&Js, and only because my mom would send me $20 here and there. Don't get me wrong, I'm also proud of myself. And I know the boys are both their kids while I'm just my dad's. So of course they'll give them more. But it really solidified to me who and what I was to them. So I asked my brother Jake to walk me down the aisle. John and his family know about this and 100% support me. Hildy called me yesterday asking about the rehearsal dinner, where they'd need to be and when, and I told her they wouldn't need to be at the church or anything and could just go to the restaurant after. She was like, oh, well how will your dad practice walking you down the aisle? It was super awkward, and I let her know Jake would be, but I was excited to see them. A few hours later, my dad came to our condo and told me how disappointed he was. He said he's been dreaming of giving me away my whole life. I was in a pretty good headspace, luckily, and was just like, "Oh, I didn't know you'd want to and didn't expect you to care," trying to be nonchalant and avoid drama. He was aggressive though and wouldn't let it go, saying I was trying to make him look like an idiot, and that if Hildy hadn't asked, he would have shown up thinking he'd walk me down the aisle. I asked him why he would assume that, and he looked at me like I was stupid, but I wanted to hear him say it, and he finally said that any father would expect that. I was just like, sure, but any other father probably didn't ignore their daughter for the first few months of her life, have as minimal custody as possible, or have college funds for some of their kids but not others. They probably did do things like take their daughters on vacation, attend a single father-daughter event, and help them out even though they were legally done. He got mad, but honestly couldn't even argue, and just said he wasn't sure if he approved of this marriage anymore. I told him I wasn't worried about that, and the truth was that we just simply weren't very important people to one another. He got really sad after that and left. And even though John agrees with my decisions, he said I should have given my dad the heads up about what I wanted from him at the wedding. As much as I value his opinion, I also feel like he doesn't get it. His family loves him and would do anything for him, and has, while my dad has only ever done the bare legal minimum when I needed him. I never assumed he would help me, and he shouldn't assume he can play a role in my wedding. I know I'm not the a-hole for having my brother walk me down the aisle, that's no debate. But was I wrong for not directly spelling out for my dad that he would be attending as a guest and only a guest? Not the a-hole. Honestly, as someone in your exact same shoes, I cut my dad off ages ago because of how absent he was. I don't trust his judgment, nor does he even know me enough to walk me down the aisle and give me away. Good for you for standing up for yourself. He wants public recognition for a role he didn't fulfill. By having your fiancé ask your dad's permission, you probably gave your dad the impression that he would play a typical dad role in your wedding. That said, bad parenting and hurt feelings aside, your dad is not entitled to any role in your life, much less walking you down the aisle. Stay strong, keep your boundaries. Not the a-hole. By the way, I am a girl dad. I understand what you mean. Honestly, I wish I hadn't told him to do that, but my dad and I were getting along and I didn't think it could hurt.